Ladies and gentlemen, this is Rick Mo from Rick Mo Productions and Positive Street Talk. Okay, we'll be shooting our podcast today from the very brand new Glenville branch, Cleveland Public Library, right here on East 118th and St. Clair. Okay, you guys come on in. Let's see what the new building look like. They put $3 million into this building, and guess who's the first person gets a chance to use the new podcast room? Okay, come on in. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the new Glenville branch, Cleveland Public Library. Okay, from right to left. All right. Oh man, it's spectacular in here. They're gonna have a lot of things going on in here. Um, gonna build a professional podcast studio, which I will be utilizing a lot. We're using it right now for what we're gonna do today. I got a special guest today, and this is it, man. $3 million was pumped in this library. The grand opening was this past Friday, and I was here for that. You had the guys that donated the money, which was the Mandel brothers. One of them was here. Kevin Conwell was here, and we just had a great time, man. So we're gonna get started with our podcast and see what our special guest is today. Okay? Rick Mo Productions will be utilizing this quite a bit. Man, Positive Street Talk got a brand new start thanks to the Cleveland Public Library. This is great. Wow, it is. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is Rick Mo from Rick Mo Productions. Welcome to Positive Street Talk. Okay, we are airing today from the Glenville Public Library on East 118th and St. Clair. This library opened, last week. It reopened last week. The grand opening was great. They put $3 million into this library that was donated by the Mandel brothers. One of them was here also. I was here. Kevin Conwell was here. Lots of people was here that was a part of it. And I am the first one to use the podcast studio, which is not really finished yet, but they are allowing me to use it, which is great. And I thank the Cleveland Public Library very, very much. I'm sitting here today with a friend of mine. We found out we've been knowing each other for a minute anyway. His name is Lamar Hillard. Lamar is an interesting man, very interesting. Lamar found his son after 37 years.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, he also has family ties with Antoine Fisher, another guy from this neighborhood.
Yes.
Okay, and it's just great to hear your story, and we're gonna give you a chance to talk about both sides of that. Okay,
Yes.
So Lamar, do me a favor, introduce yourself to the people out there.
Okay, my name is Lamar Hilliard, but before I get started, I would like to thank you for having me as a guest on Positive Street Talk.
Yeah.
Or may I say the Rick Mo show.
You're certainly welcome, man. I greatly appreciate that.
Right.
Yeah, go on and get started. Tell us your story.
Yes. My story is about me meeting my son that I haven't seen in about 37 years, and he had did 15 years in one of the worstest penitentiaries in the country, which was San Quentin, and I didn't even know he was in there. But when he get out, somebody was telling him about a search thing, and he was saying, well, they were saying you have to spend $50 or something to get this search thing.
Ancestry.com search probably. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
And he was saying, well, if I'm gonna search for anyone, I'm gonna search for my dad. So he was searching for me. He couldn't find me, and he got in touch with one of my daughters named Tashina, and she gave him the phone number to get in touch with me. So he got in touch with me. We talked on the phone, and we said whoever come up with some extra money to visit one another first, we'll be the one to come. we never did come up with the extra money because every time we get the extra money it was always a bill to come up.
Right. Right.
So his ex girlfriend and his wife, they knew how bad he wanted to see me, and they knew how bad everybody else wanted to see him.
Yeah.
And my mother, she went to her grave looking for him, but she never did find him or know where he was.
Can I stop you for 1 second? Could you tell us your son's name?
His name is Lamar Maynard.
Okay, and
Yes.
and he lived in San Diego, or where did he live at in California?
He lived in San Diego.
He lived in San Diego.
Yes.
And how did he leave Cleveland to get to San Diego?
Well, his mother had a job at the post office.
Okay.
And her job relocated and moved to San Diego.
Okay.
So what she did, she took my son and she took her immediately family and they went up there.
Oh, okay.
And the last time I seen him, he was 7 years old.
That's what I wanted to get to.
Right.
Okay.
And I never seen him again until he was 45.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. Continue your story.
And so his family knew how bad we wanted to see him. So what they did, they threw a surprise. They was surprising him on his birthday, and the surprise was me.
Wow.
But they didn't let him know though. So they had bought a round trip airline flight for me to fly up there. But I told them, sorry, I can't come because they said, why? I said, because I ain't never been on no plane before, and I'm scared. Yeah, I didn't try to hold nothing back. You know, I'm a man. Ain't nothing wrong with a man being scared. I was scared.
That's right.
Just being truthful. Yeah. And they were saying, well, we spent our money. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. You're going to get on something. If you get on a donkey and come up here, you coming. So I said, wow.
Yeah.
So his wife, she was very supportive. She sent me luggage through UPS.
Wow.
That morning that I was supposed to go to the airport, she had a taxi limo parked in front of my house. I had never seen a taxi limo before in my life.
Yeah.
And I got in the taxi limo. It took me to the airport. It was people down there. She had already contacted people to meet me.
Yes.
And let me know what plane to get on. So when I get on the plane, me just being my natural, normal self, I got on the plane and I always trusted in God.
Right.
I stood in the middle of the plane. I said, Lord, little kids looking at me, older people looking at me like, what's wrong with him? I was like, Lord, you know how bad I want to see my son.
Right.
I said, but don't let me die on this plane, you know. I say, but if it be your will, then let your will be done. But I didn't have to tell God to let his will be done because his will was going to be done anyway.
Exactly.
So he got me safely up there. And so when I seen my son, I remember that when he was little, he had this blue birthmark on his forehead. So that's what I was looking for. If I didn't see the blue birthmark, I was going to say, that ain't my son, you know. Yeah. But I seen the blue birthmark. And when he seen me, he just cried. He cried so hard. And when he cried, first I was trying to be strong. You know, I was going, I'm a man.
Yeah.
You know, I'm trying to show
that's your son. Yeah.
You know, but he cried so hard. And I heard the little boy that was in him that was longing for his father. I heard him coming out of him, you know, and it just broke me down. I couldn't hold it no longer. And, you know, and I just broke down too. And it was such a nice and exciting and warm feeling to have him embraced in my arm and to see him again and to be with him again. And my son told me after we had stopped crying and stuff, he looked at me, he said, Dad, I thought that I would never see you again. And you know what I told him? Every goodbye ain't gone.
Yes, that's right. That's right.
So, you know, that was that part of and then, you know, they was filming us at the time when we was hugging and crying. And so they took that and put it on Facebook, and it was so touching to people. I didn't even know we was being filmed, but it was so touching to people till they was just
Yes, it went viral.
exactly.
And I heard about that. I heard about that. You got over about 10 million
Yeah,
hits and stuff like that.
we
10
got
million.
over 10 million views.
Wow. And it went to YouTube too. It's on YouTube also.
It's on. It hit every platform on social media. TikTok. I don't care where you go, you can see it. You could go up on the moon. You'll see it up there.
Yeah. I believe that. And then that's the feeling that you get.
Yeah, it just went all over.
When it goes viral like that.
Right. And I read the comments, and a lot of people had a lot of nice things to say. Some people, you know, they had bad things to say, you know, but you know, I looked at it like this, you know, real gonna recognize real, you know, so when real people read it, they gonna say, well, you know, I could relate to that. But when suckers see it, you know, suckers gonna do suckers.
It's gonna always be naysayers and backbiters.
Right.
And like you said, suckers gonna do sucker shit.
Right.
And that's just it. And you know,
right.
And that's the truth. You know, it's a lot of people out there just that like to hate. So we're not going to worry about them. You had a great far as reintroducing yourself to your son, all that turned out great.
Yes, it did.
I mean, and you're still in touch with him today.
Yes, sir.
You know, I'm sure you talk frequently.
Yes.
And hopefully your son will see this video.
And I hope so. And you know, while you speaking about the video, you know, I just like to give some shout outs to my son Lamar Maynard, his daughter Brooklyn, which was the little girl in the movie. Yeah. She was 2 years old in the video. She was 2 years old in, but she's 11 now.
Wow.
And I would like to give a shout out to the lady who made it all possible, which was his wife. Her name is Teresa, but everybody call her Lady T. And I would like to give another shout out to April Gonzalez. She was another lady that was with Lady T that made it possible.
Okay.
And then I like to give a shout out to my two granddaughters, to Jackie and Mumu. Mumu was the one you talked to that put everything.
Sent me the bio.
Right. That sent you the bio. And so I don't want to be on here live and forget about them.
Right. You know? That's great, man. Understood.
And I got other families that I could give a shout out to, but just to everybody, I don't want to take up time naming them by name.
Right.
But yeah, that was and that was happened with Lamar Maynard's story.
Yeah. Now you have another story. Hold on. This is a picture. This is a picture of Mr. Hilliard and his son Lamar when they first met. And it says on the picture, watch the touching moment when this father and son reunite after being separated for 37 years. Okay? The son can't stop crying after being reunited with his dad. With the help of family and friends, the father and son were reunited for Lamar's birthday. So they got reunited on his son's birthday, and this is a poster picture of that day. And this video went totally viral, okay? And I'm glad, you know, that Lamar had a chance to meet his son, to be reunited with his son after all of these years, okay? Now, guess what? Like I said, Lamar is a very interesting man, okay? Very interesting person. So here's another thing about Lamar. I know you guys saw the movie, Antoine Fisher. The movie was actually filmed right in this neighborhood in the Glenville area, right around the corner here, okay? And Lamar turns out to be a first cousin of Antoine Fisher, okay? Lamar, why don't you tell us who these people is on this picture here?
Okay, well, this is me right here. This is Antoine Fisher. This is my daughter, my youngest daughter, India. This is her sister, Tia, and this is Nehemiah. Nehemiah, he's a dancer. Well, he was a dancer when he was little. He danced all his life. He went to New York. He tried out for Juilliard. But the first time he tried out, they turned him down because it's
Mhm.
hard to get in Juilliard studio.
Right.
So he tried again and he got accepted. And then he
Wow.
graduated and he was doing remarkable things. And then he made it a movie. I think it was called Beyond the Shadow or something like that. But
Mhm.
he got 2 Emmy Awards for that.
Wow.
And so he's a dance instructor. I don't remember what school he's teaching at, but he's
Right.
teaching kids how to dance
That's
now.
great.
You
That's
know,
great.
and I'm just glad that I was a good example, a good role model, and
Right.
I had somebody
Mhm.
in my family that was also, you know,
Mhm.
a good role
Well,
model. And
go ahead. I'm sorry.
yeah, that was a good role model. Me myself, I wasn't trying to be no movie star now, but
Yeah.
since the opportunity presented itself, you know, it's just like with me being here today.
Right. Right.
I watched your podcast and I seen you
Okay.
said,
I'm going to set this down. Go ahead.
okay,
Keep talking.
I seen you said that if it's anybody out there who has something positive to talk about,
Mhm.
you know what I'm saying, you're welcome to the show. So I had seen other people that was on your show that was saying positive stuff. I was watching and listening to their story. I said, that's interesting. Then I thought to myself, I said, but you got a positive story yourself. Why don't you try to get in touch with Rick
Mhm.
Mo?
Mhm.
And that's how this became possible.
Well,
I'm just so glad that you invited me on your show because it took so long. I said, well, I mean, I remember you told me I had to wait in line. I was saying, I ain't gonna never get on this. My goodness, what are you waiting for? So what are you gonna podcast me at my funeral?
oh man, I just
No,
so,
but I don't.
But you were shocked when I called. You know
I
what?
was shocked. I was
Yeah.
saying, "Oh, thank you, Lord, thank you."
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that just show you God is good, you know. And
Yes.
I just
Yes.
thank God for all the blessings and all the miracles and all the good things that happen in my life because I know that good things come from God. So,
Right.
and it's a reason for me to be here today.
Mhm.
And true enough, I can't talk, so y'all have to stop me.
Well, I'm gonna stop you for 1 second. Okay, just
Yes.
1 second. I'm going to stop you because I want you to go back to your part of the Antoine Fisher story. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
Okay.
How you guys connected and how things happened with that.
Okay. One day one of my nieces called me, one of my sister's daughters, and they said, Lamar, you know, we got a cousin that's famous. And I'm like, a cousin that's famous? I ain't never heard of no cousin that's famous. So they were saying, yeah. I said, what's his name? They said Antoine Fisher. Then she said, I got a magazine with him on there. And she showed me the magazine, and he was throwing money up in the air. And he was jumping up in the air, and it showed him clicking his feet together. You know how people jump up in the air and click. And the reason why he was so happy, I found out later on, is because Denzel Washington bought his story, I think, for 2-point-something million. You know, so he's a millionaire now, so he's happy. You know,
right.
So they were shooting the movie in the Glenville area. You know, so this lady told me, she said, your cousin around the corner filming, you know, ain't you gonna go around there and see him? I said, I didn't even know he was around there. So I shoot around there. So I see these other people that was in the movie. I seen Viola Ray. I seen Derek Luke. I seen Denzel Washington. Okay, that's cool. I ain't, you know, it was exciting to see them, but I wanted to see my cousin.
Right.
I didn't want to see him because he was no star, because he made it big.
You wanted to see him because he was your cousin.
Right. And I never knew him before.
Right.
So we get to talking. So he say, how I know you my cousin? He say, everybody say that. I told him like this. I said, first of all, I don't owe you no lie. You know, I said, if I'd have owed you a lie, I'd have been gave it to you. You know what I'm saying? I said, I ain't never met you before, so I came around here to want to, you know, meet you properly. You know, I said, it's great that you know, made it to be a star and stuff. You know, I'm happy about that, but I'm more happy about meeting you.
And when he asked you, how was you his cousin? What did you tell him as far as how you guys were related?
Yes, I told him that your mother and my mother are sisters.
Yeah.
And then he started
Asking
asking
you
me to
questions.
name people in the family, and I was naming them. And he took this tag. Well, I ain't got it on this
Mm-hmm.
one, but it was a tag with a chain on it, just a
Mm-hmm.
little common
Right.
chain, and he put it around my neck. He said, every every set that I be on, I want you to be there.
Mm-hmm.
So the lady I was staying with, she couldn't understand that at the time, because every morning I was getting up, getting my camera and shooting around there wherever he
Mm-hmm.
was. So then the lady asked me one day, she said, I noticed something about you. She said, every morning you getting up, jumping up, getting this camera, running around there to see Antoine Fisher like you some type of paparazzi or something. She said, what you need to be jumping up and going to try to find a job.
So, excuse me. So listen, Antoine Fisher's mother, her name was May May.
Right.
She was a friend of mine also. I told you that. She lived
Right.
down in the projects down in Longwood.
Right.
And I saw the story, but I didn't know it was May May for a little while later.
Mhm.
But it was great to find out that he had found his mother, and she ended up being a friend of mine. And then I meet you, and you ended up being May May's nephew. But we've met before too, a long time ago. We just figured that out down at POC.
Right.
You know, when I was boxing and,
Right.
and you was boxing. I do remember us now sparring. Ooh, man, that was many years ago.
Right.
Yeah. But I'd like to thank you so much for coming on the show, telling your story, especially about your son, how you're connected to Antoine Fisher. Like I said, I knew his mom, and I know your cousin, Nicholas Fisher. Nick,
Right.
if you see this, we talking about you, man. Okay, Nick is one of my good buddies, man. Yeah, and May was a good friend of mine also. But Mr. Hilliard, Lamar Hilliard, I'd like to thank you for coming on Positive Street Talk, sharing your story. It's very interesting, man. I am so glad. Actually, I'm elated that you got a chance to reunite with your son, man.
Thank you. And
it couldn't be no more positive than this. Okay? Did you have something to say?
Yes, I would like to say I thank you for having me on the Rick Mo show.
You like saying that, don't you?
I like saying that.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Rick Mo with the Rick Mo Show. No. This is Rick Mo with Positive Street Talk. Signing off. Thanks a lot, ladies and gentlemen. See you next week.